combat sports commissions, regional and sectional champions and state champion. He does his own championships, but he's done, 18, 19, 20 fights. He knows what he's doing, and it's important. He doesn't just just because you sell tickets, you don't get to fight for a title.
Right.
Trust me, the guys that have been fighting for titles on my shows lately are not ticket sellers. They don't move tickets, they don't have a big fan base, but they deserve the shot.
Right.
And a lot of these guys that fight for promotional titles will never make it to the sectionals of a big sanctioning body or a state title, but they're good fighters.
Right.
And they deserve a shot. So I hope everybody raises their game. I wish that we had, if I was a training camp and if I was CMMA, I'd have 4 good promotions that do, 3 to 6 shows a year, and I'd be busy. I wouldn't have to venture out to these new guys.
Right.
I wouldn't have to go too far out of town. You've got a Tim Fickus in Metropolis, and you've got hopefully myself, which I know Steve puts a lot of guys on from CMMA, and you've got 2 or 3 other promotions that he does that he doesn't need to find new guys.
Without mentioning, we've got about 2 minutes. Well, we got no minutes. That should be Jamie.
Hi, Jamie.
We'll go on with Jamie. Ground and Pound Show. Okay,
I was on a
Jim,
tangent right now, but
Jim was on a tangent, but welcome to the show, Jamie.
How's it going, guys?
It's going good. You excited about this weekend?
Very much so. Getting more and more excited the more I keep talking about the event, and very much looking forward to both the main event and the co-main event. So should be a really good show.
What do you think of the main card overall?
Overall, it's one of the weaker pay-per-view cards they put together. There's some really solid bouts with Yuki Yoshida against Anthony Johnson, and then Joe Stevenson against Spencer Fisher is an excellent lightweight bout. But then Cain Velasquez, Ben Rockwell isn't a big name co-main event, and they've had some bigger name co-main events in recent shows. And then Machida, it's his first title defense. We'll see how many of those people that saw him knock out Rashad Evans back in May stick around to watch him defend his title against Shogun. So we're going to see what his kind of drawing power as champion is with this event. I personally think he's going to draw in a lot of people after 2 knockout performances, and it should be a really good event. And it's a very, very good main event. I mean, despite the fact that Shogun perhaps didn't deserve to get a title shot at this point, he was the most deserving at this time because everyone else is kind of locked up. And so it really just makes sense overall to have him in this fight, and I think it's going to be an excellent one. I think he'll give Machida more of a challenge than any of Machida's previous opponents has done.
I remember you saying that last week, Jamie, and it made me think about it. I really wasn't on that same page until you brought it up on last week's show, and it made me think about it, and I got to agree with you. I think stylistically, he gives him as good a fight as anybody can if he's on his A game.
Well, he's extremely aggressive. He's an extremely aggressive fighter, and he definitely overpowers and just kind of dominates people with I mean, he's not the most technical striker. He's not the most just down to basics when it comes to striking. Is very unorthodox, very much taking combos and spurts of action over continued pressure and continued success. And it's going to take something out of the ordinary and unorthodox to catch Machida. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. I really don't. I think Machida's going to be able to find his spots, and Machida's game plan is to attack his opponents at the moment where they don't have a defense. I mean, he's very much that his Shotokan karate and Machida karate. It's all about for him finding the moment, the precise moment when his opponent is at his weakest, and when he's not going to be able to defend and attack, and that's when he bounces in there with his spurts of action, and that's why he's so successful, because he's able to exploit those few moments that a fighter gives him an opportunity to exploit, and he's able to do that almost on I'd say 90% success rate. He's always in there at the correct timing, and it's going to be a really tough task for Machida to attempt to figure that timing out.
If I was 25 years old, this is Jim, and I was fighting Jamie, I think I'd have you make my fight plan for me.
You know what you're talking about, that's for sure. I have to agree with you, though. I think Machida's going to win, but I thought Liddell was going to knock Shogun out pretty fast, too. So I thought Shogun was very surprising in that fight. He's going to have to be very, very surprising in this fight because, watching the Liddell fight with Shogun, I would have think that with the punch that Huha knocked Liddell down with, Machida would hit him about 3 times before that landed.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right on that. Machida's got deceptively fast hands. I mean, he can get in there very quickly and land the shots he needs to and then avoid punishment. And the Liddell fight was strange because it was cool looking good, but the fight didn't go very long, and it wasn't. It's hard to tell where a fighter stands these days when he's fighting Chuck Liddell, because Chuck Liddell's been on the downturn of his career, and that fight was just an increase of that, where Hua had come off a win, but a very poor performance against Mark Coleman, where he gassed really early, and there's still questions about that because it wasn't. He went a half a round with Chuck Liddell, and the same thing's going to be. The question's going to be hanging over his head in this fight as well. Can he go further in the round? I mean, he had to come off a lengthy injury layoff with his knee surgery after the Forrest Griffin fight, so he's still on the road to get back to the heights he was at in Pride. I mean, I think that it's still possible for him to get there, but do I think it's going to come on Saturday against Machida at this point, when he's had 2 fights this year already and hasn't shown that he's back up to the heights he was before? I don't think it's going to happen on Saturday. I don't think the Machida era ends before it begins here. I think Machida picks this one up, and I'd be very surprised if Shogun won this fight.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would. Before we talk about the co-main event, how do you see the Fisher-Stevenson fight going down?
I think Stevenson's going to win that fight. I really do. When we talked about it, me and one of my colleagues talked about it on our preview audio earlier this week, I was thinking it would be more along the lines of the Spencer Fisher-Sam Stout 2 fight, where they just beat the hell out of each other for 3 rounds, and Fisher picked up a unanimous decision in that one. I don't think that is to Stevenson's benefit in this one. Just looking over the fight overall, I mean, he's gotten pegged into that trap before, and fighting out of Greg Jackson's camp now, I think he's a lot smarter. He employed a very good game plan against Nate Diaz, and I think he's going to employ a similar game plan and just smother Fisher for 3 rounds